look at your statistics of how much traffic is coming to your websites and your emails and your Facebook, but how much of it's mobile? It's like at least 70% of it's mobile. So if it's all mobile, why aren't you driving traffic to a mobile place? Why aren't you owning your community and creating a community around it, owning your content, putting your content in there, whatever it is. I mean, your business, there's three ways. You can increase your leads, you can reduce your manpower, or you can reduce your costs. And an app can do all three of those things.
Live from Irvine, California, unless of course this is recorded. This is the Unstoppables. My name is Bill Woodich, and this is the place where we take those ideas, those thoughts you might have when you're driving, you're in the shower, the ones that aren't X, or maybe they are, and we turn them into reality. Today, my guest is Jeremy Callahan. He's going to make some of our dreams and some of our wishes reality because he is the founder of a mobile and web development firm. He founded this in 2014. If you look at his background, it looks kind of like something out of Mad Men. I think Don Draper is going to walk in with a cigarette pretty soon. Maybe he's going to give you a glass of booze with some ice in it, right? Now, you take yours neat or you take it with on the rocks?
Neat, baby, neat.
Oh, I like him. I like you already. He's got a team of product managers, front and back end developers. Sounds interesting. Database engineers, and they service both domestic and international clients, from recognized brands to startups. Jeremy, welcome to the Unstoppables.
Hey, thank you for having me on today.
Can you drop some big cred on me right away? Tell me some of the recognized brands that you work with.
Some of the big ones right off the bat: biggest grocery chain, Albertsons and Safeway, Universal Orlando, IBM. Those are some of the big ones.
Well, congratulations. It's you've got to have two things: substance and style to crack into the Fortune 500 tier. So obviously, sir, you have both. Speaking of style, we talked about this off air.
Yeah.
I'm representing today. See.
Yes.
This is it's in the blood. It's on the cuffs.
Yes.
In the jeans. You just never get away from Western PA. Are you a 49ers fan?
Huge. Grew up. And that's one of the things I really loved is I grew up and I saw an organization that was run top to bottom, like in such a great way, through the 80s and the 90s. Yeah. Jet messed it up in the 2000 era, and they haven't had it since. But it was always great to just see, like, it's almost like the Patriots now. It's how like they would get rid of somebody and bring somebody right back in, and they knew exactly what to do.
Well, you got Garoppolo. He's going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, the future's bright, so we'll see.
Oh, you got the realist gene. It's not the optimist. It's the we'll see gene. That sounds like Pittsburgh now.
Yeah.
We'll just see.
Well, until you've won 10 games, don't tell me how great you are.
Take me through what you do, and then tell me who your ideal target client. Paint them for me.
Right. So the primary business is mobile app development. And, with a mobile app comes a lot of different things. You always have kind of to take in what the business is currently doing, kind of what their setup is now. Some of them may not have anything. And then some of them may be huge corporations that have a back end that's like a legacy system that may be holding them back. And so we get right in there and we determine, what's going on with the business. So a lot of it in the beginning is figuring out where the gaps are in the business, what they want to do with their mobile strategy to bring them forward, and then just executing them, coming up with a plan and then executing the plan.
What's the difference, in your opinion, between that strategic conference room, boardroom, sit down to the actual tactical implementation?
Well, I mean, it's the doing, you know what I mean? It's actually, there's a lot of people. As a developer, I came from a development background. I started as a developer. So I was always the builder of everything. And in my early career, it was like, I had no time to sit in meetings because I just couldn't relate to the folks that were talking all the time. Hey, we should do this, we should do that, right? Yeah, because I'm like, they're not a doer. Well, you're a doer, but like a lot of people are, they're in meetings all day, And so once I bridged the gap to say like, to actually learn more what the business was doing, it made the development a lot easier.
Three great things there, because I wrote about one of these and I actually lived this, was the think and do. So with me, think and do, that difference between the distance actually between a thought and when you actually take that action that makes that difference, that's the key to success. And that gap you talked about, that bridge in between, is where a lot of companies sit in their conference room and they talk about strategy. Other companies are already implementing. So I think that fast, it sounds like you're one of these companies, that agile, fast company that can think and then do, that's part of being unstoppable.
Yeah, totally. Because, I was working for a company years back and I actually quit, and they asked me in the exit interview why I quit. And I said, well, because it takes you a year and a half to do what we could do in 3 months. Yeah. And the person said, it's like a aircraft carrier turning in the bay versus a speedboat. And I was like, yeah.
The Unstoppables is more of, I think the audience has the inquiring minds that you would see in that the Inquirer, but they're a little higher end on this thing. And they're asking me this question of you. Give me a little bit about your background. How did you get to this point?
Well, when I was out of college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was going to go to law school, and I worked as a paralegal for the summer, and all the young attorneys that I was working with were like, don't do it. You're just going to incur a lot of debt. You're going to have to work in a job you don't want to work. And so I came up with an idea at the time, and it was for golf courses. So you could take a tour of a golf course, like fly over it and see what the golf course was like before you played it. And I just decided, well, I'm going to make a website out of this. I went down and I bought a Dell computer, and my girlfriend at the time thought I was crazy to spend that money. And I said, I'm going to make money come out of this computer. I don't know how. And so I learned to program the website. I went down to Amazon. We didn't have YouTube and Google back then to search and find everything. You actually had to look at books. And so I started learning all this programming, and I became a programmer, and it was a pretty good job and everything. And then, in 2014, I had quit my job, and I was looking for other work, and I was also looking for side work. And one day, 3 side projects came in, and the guy he was like a mentor at the time to me. And I said, what should I do? Which one of these 3 should I take? And he looked at me sideways and he said, are you crazy? You got to take all 3 of them. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, if you're going to be in business for yourself, you got to take all 3. I said, well, I can't do it. He goes, you got to find a way to do it. And so that's what I did, man. I found a way, and, I had to work a lot. I worked more in that period of time than I ever worked in my life.
Find a way, make a way.
Find a way.
Find a way. And then, you just find a way, make a way. What you said, and I love this, you look at that box and you said, I'm going to find a way to make money from this. There is no such thing as perfect. There's no such thing as something that a lot of people have. If people have already been there, you're just copying. You're probably just a retread. But when you're looking at something and saying, I'm going to find a way, I'm going to do the research, I'm going to take on 3 jobs, I'm going to do whatever it takes. That's part of being unstoppable.
Yeah.
You grew up like me thinking that, other kids wanted to be cops and firemen. I wanted to be an attorney. I wanted to be a lawyer. So was that your childhood dream?
Yeah, I guess. My thing was, even when I was young in high school and even before that, I just wanted money. I just wanted to be able to go do stuff. Yeah. And I never had any. So I had like a paper route. And when I saw an attorney, I was just like, well, that seems like a way to make a lot of money, So
well, that was it. It's made for you to talk and have an audience that had to listen. See? So, no, but I had a paper route, the same thing. And I grew up and I wanted to be the next Steelers quarterback. I didn't make that. And so I thought, well, you know what? I had this thing inside of me I always liked to. I thought I'd like to compel people with arguments, so I wanted to be an attorney.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing you did. I did due diligence, got into law school, but never went. Never went one day. I just had to stop and think, do I really want to do this? Do I want to invest this money? Do I want to invest this time? Probably in that mid to low tier, and then come out and make no money in this paper chase.
Exactly.
Same thing. So we have very similar backgrounds there. I think like seeks like, and if you can get more into your background about what really then started to impel your success, those steps forward, because now you're working with Fortune 500 companies. So from the box that you opened up into opportunity by working 3 jobs, finding a way, making a way, how'd you blow that box up and move forward into Fortune 500 boardrooms?
Well, it was difficult because, as a developer, I always wanted to program, and I didn't want to go out and actually look for the work. But when I started networking and I've never had a problem talking to people. So when I actually started networking and going out and asking people and asking for work and Just looking around, the things that were around me that I never saw before, I started seeing like opportunity. Like, I don't know what it is. It's, I do a lot of personal development and things like that, but people say if you start thinking about bigger ideas, opportunities will start to show up for you. And my skill level was there. I had to have the skill to get into those companies, but how did I always used to walk around, even when I was a web developer, and go, how do these companies need services, but how do I get at them? And once I started setting higher goals, opportunities started coming to me. I started meeting people. It was just very random, the people I started meeting, if you look at it. But in a way, I kind of brought it to myself a little bit just by changing my mindset.
What would you mentor or coach the audience in raising that bar? Because so many of us keep that bar so low that you can walk over it. But you're setting the big goals. How would you coach them, and what's the biggest obstacle to raising that bar?
Well, one is you got to set a really high goal. So you can't set like medium, I want to graduate. If you're in college, I want to graduate from college. You're going to do it. So you set the high goal. But the problem is that your mind is going to take over at some point in time. Like, I have panic attacks, right? So if I have a panic attack, when I had them before, I get freaked out. Now I'm like, I'm doing something out of my comfort zone, and my mind is telling me, I like it here. I want to be, I like this easy job. I have this, and now you want to go do all this other stuff. So I'm going to do something to throw you off. And so you got to work kind of through that false positive and see it as that.
That is strong, because the brain seeks to enable our survival. That's really what it's here for.
Yes.
To protect us. It doesn't want us to push ourselves out of our comfort zone, but that's where we have to go. And we got to have those goals that we have, as you said, the substance behind to be able to achieve. You got to set them big, but you've got to be able to do the work. You've got to be able to have the disciplines to achieve those goals. You're out there, you've got 3 jobs, you're moving forward, you're going to blow up the box. What do you think about, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, what do you think about having a plan B?
Well, it can hold you back, right? It can be that kind of, it can be a little anchor of like, oh, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to go, back to my corporate job or whatever. And I see it a lot. Like, I was just talking to a guy yesterday who was, because in the software, the guys I work with, the mobile guys, the web guys, whatever, they get a freelance job. It pays them a lot of money. And then when the freelance job ends out, they have to go back. They're like, should I go get a corporate job? Because if you have a corporate job, your thought is, well, I'm not going to have to look for work anymore, and I'll have it. It's a lie, but that's what people think.
You know what I've seen in my experience, and I would come across there and give you a high five on this, because I don't believe in plan B either. I think plan B becomes your plan A by default.
Yeah.
I think you've got to move forward. You've got to have the conviction. You got to have a little bit of fear to be able to keep moving forward. And if you have an option that's safer and your brain craves that element of safety, you find a way back. So exactly. Take down the net, go forward. I love that you said that.
It's a thermostat, right? It's going to bring the room back to that temperature.
Absolutely. Yeah, homeostasis. Yeah. Jeremy Callahan, he finds a way. He's a doer. He doesn't believe in plan B. I love that. And he's a 49ers fan. It doesn't matter. He's in another division, so that's okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
That's what makes him unstoppable. Jeremy, tell us how you define, don't cut and paste this from personal development. How do you define success?
Well, I define success as moving forward towards whatever you're doing.
Did you read my book?
No, but I saw the title, and I'm going to read your book. But no, I mean, that's really it.
It sounds like you did.
No, I didn't.
But it's going forward.
It's going forward. It is literally, it's not if you fail, like, because you're going to fail. It's actually just continuing to go. If you set a goal and you're going towards it, you're a success. If you decide, like we talked about, a plan B, and you go out, you failed, you're actually a failure. There's a difference between failing and being a failure.
So you're right. So since we mentioned the F word, yes. What do you consider your biggest failure?
Well, my biggest failure was choosing the wrong person and marrying the wrong person. That was by far the biggest, in a personal life. From a business perspective, I think my biggest failure was being in the corporate world as long as I was. Yeah. not taking off right away, why I just was settling for that kind of mediocrity.
And settling is the thing that people will do because
Yeah.
they want the comfort of what they think they know or the comfort of the known. And to me, just as a person, as a personal aside, but life happens beyond existence when you stretch yourself, you move forward, you constantly are on the quest for self-improvement, and you're not settling, and you understand what settling is. Now, there are times we have to take a knee.
Sure.
We have to take some time off the line, and we will have those elements of comfort or an oasis. But a person with a plan A, a person who's always moving forward, knows that that's the way through those places of comfort where the brain would like to stop.
Yeah.
So we share that in common. I mean, that's a great one. What would you consider, if you could only have one, your defining moment today, your defining moment, the thing that gave you that trajectory, the arc to get where you are now?
The defining moment for me was going out on my own, like actually going out on my own, because I had tried it a few times before and not going back into that corporate job. Because it got tough, man. I was out of money. I had like $70 in my pocket or in my account, and I was at a concert and I didn't know where I was getting money the next day and how I was paying rent. And at that point, I had one option left, and that was to cash in my retirement and double down, or to go get a corporate job. And I was like, screw it. I'm in it to win it. I'm not giving up. And that really is what, you and I, when I talk to you, I can sense that you've been there. And so I talk to a lot of people that haven't been in that spot. And I'm like, yeah, man, until you're in that spot, you just don't know,
It's like this. You look into the abyss. If nothing's back, man, you're in trouble. The not his character, okay? I may be a character, but you got character. And that's, it's got to look back, and it's that resolve, and it's that self-belief. In personal development, who do you study? Who are your gurus?
Well, when I was younger, I used to read the Tony Robbins books. And then I really got into a guy named Bob Proctor, who I was with for a few years. And then now I follow like Grant Cardone. So that's where I'm at right now.
You going to 10X?
No, I went last year. I'm going to Hawaii. I'm going to the Big Island. So
there's nuclear threats going on over there. They're not real.
Well, yeah, I go towards the problem.
There you go, because you're going always forward.
That's right. I'm always forward.
What do you think separates you when you're talking to Fortune 500 companies? What is it? Because there's a lot of noise out there, a lot of voices, a lot of people trying to do what you do. What's your biggest distinctive quality?
Well, I think it's that, I'm not selling you a mobile app. I'm selling or development. I'm selling you the ability to deliver over time, to be there for you and to deliver over time. And when something goes bad, because something's going to go bad on the project, I'm going to be there to give you an answer. I'm going to be there to get you through it. And that's really what it is. It's a relationship over time that I'm selling.
So you are selling you.
That's right.
You're selling your commitment, and you're delivering on that commitment. So that deliverable that other people experience can be part of your resume and part of those testimonials that those others who are unwashed to date will say, hey, yeah, he's done it for them. Okay. Yeah. Consistently. So you got to invest yourself in that process.
And one of the things, I wrote a blog about it a few years back about, do you deliver on time? And it was really about what separates a pro software engineer from an amateur. And the only thing it was do you deliver on time every time? Because that's really what our job is about, right? I can sell it, but then I got to deliver it on time. And if we don't deliver it, their heads are going to explode and they're going to hate us.
And go ahead.
Yeah, so as a pro, you got to deliver every time on time.
And what you're saying is germane to any business. Everything you've said is germane to any business. What you're doing, and what we call in the Woodage group, what we call service, is closing the circle. So the initiator of that request, we're following that process all the way through and letting them know, even when there's nothing to say or nothing that really has happened, this is where we are in the process, because it lowers their anxiety. And then close it all the way, and closing the circle means that we have done this to their satisfaction, not to what we believe is their satisfaction. We're closing the circle. You're finding a way, you're making a way, you're always moving forward. Man, you're just leaping from the pages of my book. Maybe I got it from you. I don't know. It sounds
well, I love what you just said about closing the circle. Actually, that's very powerful.
And the other thing you're doing is you're managing expectations, which is huge. You're finding out and you're managing those expectations. We have to put our own deadlines on. Deadline in here, when people say ASAP, that doesn't mean an effing thing. ASAP means nothing. It's an acronym without meaning.
Right.
You put a deadline down. You got to measure it. You got to meet it. That's it.
Yeah. Well, and in my world, like with developers actually set their own timeline. So they say, here's what we're going to deliver in 2 weeks. This is what I'm going to do in 2 weeks. And then I'm like, well, you actually set your work. I didn't set it for you and say this work. And then you can't deliver on it. Come on.
Yeah, you know, and I'm going to tell you Kelsey has more pain in this area than I do. But our biggest frustration is we hear the sounds of silence. So we hear crickets. We don't hear anything. They're not meeting their deadlines. There is no deadline. It just keeps going on and on and on and on. And we're going to have it in a week. And all of a sudden we're 2 months down the road. Am I off or on?
No, you're on.
You better say I'm on, even if I'm off. He's a builder, not a maintainer. He thrives outside of his comfort zone. He knows the difference between failure and setback, very important. And he sure as heck doesn't settle. Boy, I love him. It's my guest, Jeremy Callahan. Jeremy, if you could write one paragraph, I mean, you can make it long, you can make it short, one paragraph that would when you leave this earth 100 years from now, someone would find that paragraph and they would say, this is what Jeremy Callahan left us. What would you leave us in that one paragraph?
Well, I would like to leave people with just the thought that I'm doing things, and the reason I'm doing things is to prove that you can do things, that you can do more things. And that's the one thing I want to leave. I don't know how to put that into a paragraph or a fancy sentence, but that's really what I'm trying to do.
Yes.
I give people advice all the time, and they kind of look at me like, who the hell are you? That's why I want to achieve so much. So people go, if that guy can do it, I can definitely do it.
You know what? You are a broadcast station for increase in people's lives.
Yes, there you go. I like that.
Now, people say that when you pass away and you take everything with you, you hoard all your gold, you take all what you think are your possessions, which you don't own, because obviously as you pass through the threshold, there is nothing you own.
There's nothing left.
It's all about what you've left behind.
Yeah.
To me, that's the motivator. That's about legacy. That's about doing what we've done and starting at a place where there was, we're in corporate. I was in corporate as well.
Yeah.
And having that dissatisfaction in the visceral sense, in the gut, and then finding or making a way, not settling, and man, feeling the fire by looking into that abyss and seeing that, whoa, it's up to me if it's to be. And
yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
You go ahead. You got a last word.
I was going to say, it's all on your shoulders to do what you got to do. It's on mine to do what I got to do. And there's no one else to do.
Atlas. It's like Atlas. I ripped my suit the other day doing too much presses, so I got to take the shit off my shoulders.
Flex the back and tear your shirt off.
Flex right now. Where can we find you? This is going to be an easy one for you.
Yeah, jeremycallahan.com. All the information's out there. I'm all over Facebook, Instagram. I'm on all the things. I have a podcast now where I talk about mobile apps and how they're essential to your business and how they can help you out. I'm interviewing a lot of cool people. So go to the website, Jeremy Callahan. That's the best way, and you'll find everything there.
What's the name of your podcast?
To app or not to app?
Well, what's the answer?
It's like a little Shakespeare to me.
No, I want to know the answer.
She wants to know the answer. To app or not to app?
To app or not to app? Why apps are essential to your business?
Why are they?
She said, why are they? This is Kelsey now. She's tougher than me.
Well, because I mean, look at when you do your look at your statistics of how much traffic is coming to your websites and your emails and your Facebook posts. How much of it's mobile? It's like at least 70% of it's mobile. So if it's all mobile, why aren't you driving traffic to a mobile place? Why aren't you owning your community and creating a community around it, owning your content, putting your content in there, whatever it is. I mean, your business, there's three ways. You can increase your leads, you can reduce your manpower, or you can reduce your costs. And an app can do all three of those things.
Nailed it with that one. I think we're going to put that as the lead on this show. Beautiful. Now, I always thought this, and I teach this in sales. You can either decrease the drag, man, you got to cut shit out from behind you, or you increase the thrust.
That's right.
You can do both. You're Jeremy Callahan. You're unstoppable.
Yeah.
You stay on the line. You are fantastic. So once you go away, I'm going to say goodbye to Instagram. They're giving you a lot of hearts. So
All right. Cool.